So this is a great exercise for people with neck pain or stiffness or people who might struggle with headaches. The goal of this exercise is to try to make each and every one of the little bones that make up of our neck or the vertebrae that make up our neck get to their maximum amount of flexion or their maximum amount of forward bending. That's really important because when we bend forward, that's what opens up the joints of our neck and creates more space for movement and ideally starts to make things feel a little bit better through there. So in order to do that, we're going to try to get really specific with each little vertebrae or each little bone in our neck that we're moving. So to start off with, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take your hands and you're going to feel for the bottom of your skull, you're going to feel a really pointy kind of point right at the base of your skull there. We're going to take your finger and we're going to go just a little bit below that. So we're trying to get a finger on the very top vertebrae of your neck. Once you're there, we're going to take our chin and we're going to think about bringing our chin down towards our neck, thinking about pushing my finger as far as I can backwards. So I'm trying to round the stretch, or I'm trying to round my flexion right to that very first vertebrae. And I might go through a couple of reps just like that, trying to open up that very top space. From here, I'm going to go down little bit by little bit. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to move it down a little bit more on my neck. So maybe like 1 or 2 finger widths there. And then I'm going to do the same thing. This time I'm trying to bow that stretch down a little bit lower. So I'm going to take my chin, tuck it down towards my chest. This time I'm trying to push this finger as far back as I can. And that's just going to feel the slightest bit different than that one that you did a little bit higher up. So I would do a few reps there as well. From there, once again, I'm going to take my finger, go a little bit lower, and then try to bow that stretch from that period just a little bit lower there, bowing it from that bone that's down a little bit. And I would do that all the way down until I'm at the base of my neck here. So I'm going to do that vertebrae by vertebrae, maybe doing just a couple reps each time. So that can be a really great way to start to teach our neck how to move from each of those different bones. Once I've practiced getting as much rounding or as much flexion as I can from each of those little vertebrae in my neck, I'm going to add it all together for one big stretch. So when we do this, if you haven't stretched your neck very much in this direction before, or if you haven't trained your neck in this position, we want to be very gentle with it. If you do too much, sometimes you can exacerbate symptoms. So it's way better to start more gentle. And then if you start to feel comfortable with a gentle stretch, work your way up to a little bit more. The goal with this stretch is the exact same thing, but instead of moving one vertebrae at a time, we're trying to get all of our vertebrae into their maximum amount of forward bending or maximum amount of flexion. So what I'm going to do is same as before. I'm going to think about pulling my chin down towards my neck, and then I'm going to try to take my chin and bring it all the way down towards my chest. Ideally, you're able to get that chin all the way down to your chest, but if you're really stiff back here, you might not be able to get that far. If you have a towel or some kind of band, it works really well to give you a little bit of extra pressure. So that's going to look something like this. I'm just going to take my towel and my band, wrap it around the back of my head, and then give myself just a very, very gentle pull downwards. So when I do this, I should be feeling a stretch somewhere on the long side of my neck or on the back side of my neck. If that feels comfortable or if that feels just like a good stretch, it can be helpful to try to hold that stretch for anywhere up to 2 minutes. That just gives those muscles and that tissue in the back of your neck a chance to start to relax. Once we've done that, we're not going to stop there. We're going to add in a little bit of a contraction with this. So same as we just did, we're going to take that band, or we're going to take, you can even use your hands. This makes it a little bit harder because your shoulders are a little bit more active here. So we'll take our band and we're going to find that stretch again. Once I'm here, I'm going to do my PAILs contraction or my long side contraction. So I'm going to think about starting to actually contract some of these muscles under stretch. My intention when I do that would be to take that and lift my head back up, but I'm using the band or I'm using my towel to stop me from looking up, so I'm not actually going to move. So when I'm in this stretch like this, I'm very, very gently going to think about squeezing those muscles on the back of my neck to pull my head back up, but I'm using this band to stop me. So I'm feeling more tension on the back of my neck. Same thing with this one. You want to start very gently. If you've never worked these muscles before, sometimes working them too hard, too fast, things can start to feel really sore and maybe make your symptoms worse. But if you start with just a really gentle contraction, and as you start to tolerate that a little better, you can work your way up a little bit harder, a little bit harder. I would try to hold that from anywhere from like 20 to 30 seconds. But once again, if you start to notice pain or if you start to notice symptoms, just ease off and start really gently.